Hello everyone, this is Kurode giving you a shoutcast and a game between Stephano versus Polt here on Antigua Shipyard. I believe this was taken from the Asus assembly, but not 100% sure. But then again, I haven't cast any of the games yet either. But then again, you guys get to see my interpretation of the games as I take a look into game 1 of the series. Stephano spawning as the blue Zerg on the bottom right hand side of the map. Meanwhile, TSL's Polt spawning as the red Terran on the top left hand side of the map. Polt versus Stephano, Terran versus Zerg on a cross spawn, I believe a cross spawn only version of Antigua Shipyard. Now the reason why I say that is based upon the Overlord positioning. It is going to try to hide. Yes, it is going to be cross spawn, and it's going to try to park itself off over here to figure out when an expansion will be set up. So far, none of these no one has really tipped their hand in terms of strategies so far yet. Polt needs to set up that front door barracks. There he goes, and we'll see what he tries to go for. He could go for a 13 gas, or perhaps delayed a little bit and go for that 15 gas, allowing him to get that command center up, and then following it up with a little bit of a later Hellions. Instead, Polt will be opening up with 13 gas so far. Stephano and a lot of Zerg players in general have really been going for that 15 hatchery against Terran players, especially since they know that this is a cross spawn only. It is going to be rather large, and we are going to see a 16 hatchery or 15 hatchery, not quite sure based upon the numbers there. What Stephano is going to try and go for, he should be getting up a spawning pool now or in just the next couple of seconds, and then after that, after getting up that spawning pool, we'll see what he tries and goes for. The drone is still wandering around here. The barracks is now done. The supply depot was down, so the drone was actually able to wander around on a little bit on the inside, as we still don't see a factory as of yet. Polt gonna set up that second supply depot, most likely set up the factory after that, and then we should have reactor Hellion play, as that is the common opening. Now, a lot of Zerg players in general have really learned to deal with those Hellions early on in the game. They really don't cause too much of an issue. One spine crawler plus the additional queens that most Zerg players now definitely get have really neutralized much of the harassment that Terran players were able to effectively do against Zerg early on. You can see that there is a bunker now being built here, and oh, nicely done, as the SCV is going to be down over here. The drone now coming back over. We're going to see a Marine try to make its way in, but the SCV is just going to wander around. Polt doing that customary bunker harassment. It forces drones off the mineral line, but and because it forces so many drones off the mineral line, one SCV does go down. Normally, the Terran player would at most lose 25 resources for canceling that bunker, and Stephano would be a little bit more strapped for cash, as now Zerglings are finally out on the field. We can see that it is going to be that reactor Hellion opening. We are getting a second command center now being built by Polt. So double command center, but it is being built on the inside of the base, a little bit more conservative, and we'll see whether or not Polt, or when he will be establishing this additional Vespene geyser here. Marines now forced to run all the way back home. Zerglings looking to perhaps cut off some of these Marines. The Marine is going to make it very, very close. One Marine on the high ground may provide enough cover fire. Yes, that Zergling doesn't want to engage. And the Zergling, able to see that there is no command center. Now the Zergling does get taken down, as we still have this one Overlord off to the side. Hellions now making their counterattack, but Stephano already ready, getting up that spine crawler, already getting up that third queen, currently running on 2 queens on 2 bases. The Hellions are going to at most be able to control creep. Now, Stephano is going to have to deal with an ever-growing, increasing number of Hellions, but we'll see whether, Polt now going to invest into 6 Hellions, as Polt now just simply trying to contain his opponent. Currently, Polt behind in Harvesters 22 to 31. More drones will be able to be trained up once more, as Stephano has been hitting his injects pretty timely so far. And his macro is simply going to be something to behold in just a moment, as Stephano most likely will try to use this high ground creep in order to spread creep without actually exposing any of the creep tumors. Now, Polt has a very small window of opportunity to look to deal damage. Marines are being gathered, more Hellions, and it looks as though we are now going into a barracks trying to train up more Marines. So we are going to have stop off at 6 Hellions with 2 Marines, and we'll see how much damage can be done. There is 1 Marauder and 2 Marines in this group as well. An evolution chamber now being added to make sure that no Hellions are able to simply drive around that corner very, very easily, having to take that turn a little bit wider, exposing it more to that spine crawler. As here we go, the Marauders and now Hellions. Hellions now getting some damage. The Marauder dealing a lot of damage, and here we go. Zerglings now trying to get a surround, able to do so as some of those Hellions are caught on the wrong side, but nice split by Polt. Polt is down by 20 food right now and 11 harvesters, but he does have his second base up and running and also calling in more mules. The Hellions are simply here just to buy time, making sure that Stephano doesn't get a complete free license to drone, even though he does have a 13 food advantage. Hellions now all the way back home. 1 SCV is going to be forced to try to repair all of this, as the Zerglings now holding at the Zelnaga Tower. A 3rd base by Stephano now being established, and it is going to be a 3-base Zerg compared to a 2-base Terran with a 15 harvester advantage. So definitely right now Stephano has played the early game near perfect and should be able to get himself a nice economic lead in the mid game. Hellions now trying to finish off some of these Zerglings. It looks like there will not be any problem whatsoever, as the Zerglings are still wandering around on the inside here. It does get taken out as more Zerglings still being added to this group. We are now up to, I believe, 5 Hellions, and the Zerglings are going to be able to torch some of these Hellions here. Another Hellion gets taken down. The Hellions now trying to run back over here. Marines are joining in on the fight. All the Hellions do get destroyed, or sorry, 2 more of the Hellions get destroyed, but all the Zerglings, save for 1, gets to retreat back home. Stephano about to set up his 3rd base here. He's already at 60 drones, can easily split 20 drones at each, but I'm assuming that Stephano wants to continue to grow that drone count. Out of 76 food, 60 of it is currently drones. So Polt may hit some sort of timing here where he does have a larger army. Marines are now out and no combat shield as of yet. More and more Marines are being added. There is 2 medevacs, and with no banelings, this might be a little bit difficult, as the Marines should be able to take down many of those Zerglings. This hatchery now will get countered. Stephano perhaps a little bit over eager to try to get up onto a high base count, as the Zerglings are now just positioning themselves over here. Hellions not getting a nice easy torch, but the Marines are in a nice ball, especially when there are no banelings on the field. The hatchery will go down in just a couple of seconds. There it goes. Broodlings now trying to help add some DPS to the war, but the medevacs able to quickly heal that, as we are now getting into 3 bases for Polt. So Stephano, who was getting up onto 3 bases, now is going to find himself behind on bases, as Polt is nearing completion on his expansion. Polt does have level, or has no upgrades, but does have combat shield and stim that will help, but he will be going up against 1-1 Zerglings. Those Zerglings now looking for the Marines. Don't see them now coming back over here. Do see them. The Marines are going to try to perhaps jump inside the medevac, able to do exactly that, but the reinforcements of Polt still coming on strong. Stephano really over investing into drones now, and he doesn't have anything to really deal with the size of the army. 51 drones compared to 51 SCVs compared to 57 drones. The Zerglings are upgraded 1-1, but will it be enough, as we have another cancellation on the hatchery and now destructible rocks in order to take down this expansion, or open up this expansion here. We are now teching to tier 3, so we are going into hive tech. Infestation pit, pathogen glands is just what the doctor ordered in order to deal with all of these mass Marines. Chain fungal growth, very effective, as the infestors are going to be the perfect counter. Zerglings realizing that there is an expansion up on the high ground here. You can see Stephano, even though he doesn't actually see this, has a good enough guess, as SCVs were being transferred over there. Stephano is now up on 3 bases, needs to perhaps transfer some drones over. Infestors now making a move, but the problem is that Stephano doesn't have that strong of a creep spread. Infestors normally very fast on creep, but not quite so much off of creep. I know some time ago that the Infestors did have a movement speed debuff, as the Infestors are now a little bit more in the backfield. And now as they move slower, we'll see what's going to happen here. Stephano now getting very close to 150 energy on these infestors. And when it does hit 150 energy, that's going to be 8 fungal growths, dealing a lot of damage to Polt. But Polt is already transitioned heavily into siege tanks, and siege tanks destroy infestors, only taking 2 shots there. Polt now moving around with this one medevac. There's the fungal growth. The Marines were like, hey, I'm glad I'm not in there at all. We'll see what Stephano does. Stephano using a lot of resources or a lot of energy in order to destroy that one medevac there. So perhaps Stephano thought that he caught a full medevac. He did not. And he's not going to be able to see all too much. One Marine or one Zergling getting quickly shot down, as we're now going to see Zerglings make their way over. The Marines may be able to, no, not going to finish off any of those Zerglings, as the Marines are just simply sitting on the high ground. One Zergling does go down. More Zerglings going to get taken down, as they are now going to do a nice spread across the center. Stephano easily cleaning this up, especially when there is no medevac. 71 SCVs, 76 drones, a massive bioforce, actually no, a cautionary bioforce now making its way out. Siege tanks getting in siege mode, and this will simply destroy many of those infested swarm eggs already. We're going to see the infestors now try to make their way in, but getting in a little bit over eager. The siege tank's able to get off a couple easy quick blasts, and now Polt looks like he wants to position his siege tanks a little bit better so that there is not as much surface area to get a very strong surround. Zerglings making sure that there isn't another expansion there. There is not for Polt. Polt currently building a new expansion here, as Marines now making their way in. This hatchery hasn't had any drones mining the bunker here, as Polt able to just walk around the map and finishing off a lot of these units. There's a fungal growth here. Zerglings are going to back off. The infestors are going to have a very bad day, but now another fungal growth going down. More Marines, and Stephano is going to be doing some very good trading. Another fungal growth could come off on this infestor here, as they're now trying to test that front door. Here we go. Here's some Zerglings. Zerglings now trying to swarm in. Stephano gets off, perhaps, no, some infested Terrans instead. Ultralisk being added. And Stephano coming back here and doing a great job, just pushing very, very deep inside. But it looks like the siege tanks have come over to reinforce. The siege tank's going to be able to finish off many of these infestors. The infestors do move very, very slowly. One Ultralisk now getting up on the high ground, but the Ultralisks are only upgraded 2-2 at this point. 3-3 upgrades, Katona's plating being added. Ultralisks are going to be very durable at 500 hit points each, as the siege tanks are now making another move. Siege tanks look to perhaps knock on this back door here and take that high ground advantage away from Stephano. Stephano may be in a bit of trouble. He has a lot of drones. He cannot afford to lose that base. If he loses that base, he will be behind on bases, and his economies will not be able to keep up with the necessary production in order to fend off this attack here. You can see Zerglings are now making their way in. The Zerglings are upgraded 2-2, but the siege tanks upgraded 1-0, able to one-shot those Zerglings still. Ultralisk now still getting a little bit tied on themselves here. Stephano's about 122 versus 144, both sides battling it out, and still what is happening? Ultralisk trying to chomp their way through Ultralisk, and Ultralisk absorbing a lot of the damage. One infestor able to barely survive here, as Stephano now once again takes a very small lead. Harvester count though, 60 versus 75. Stephano has a lead, but it is pretty much all in harvester food, as the Ultralisk now chomped away at one more siege tank. Ultralisk does get taken down. Reinforcements of these Zerglings are now trying to regather themselves. Polt does have a couple medevacs here, and here we go. Zerglings once again going to catch many of these units in transit, out of position. More infested Terrans being added. The infested Terrans are very, very strong units. Base 3 armor right now, no weapons upgrade, but still the infested Terrans deal more damage than a normal Terran Marine anyways. Still have 3 medevacs here. Stephano looking to be in pretty good condition right now. 30 food or 22 food ahead of his opponent. More Marines now being added. Polt now getting 3-2 upgrades, but Stephano getting an additional 6 infestors. And those infestors will be able to trade energy and trade energy for damage. Here we go. Zerglings now trying to push their way in. I believe Stephano actually did this a little prematurely, not having a lot of his forces here. And Stephano actually going to lose a lot more than I think he bargained for. The Zerglings are coming in a single file line, which means that they're going to arrive to the party late. Stephano now down to a 25 food advantage as the Marines are now attempting to back off. There's a siege tank up on the high ground. It looks as though Stephano, even though he did not exchange well in that early portion, was able to break down the front door and now getting in a lot of damage here. And we see still a 21 food advantage, and now Zerglings swarm inside the base. Fungal growth hitting off some of those SCVs, and I believe Stephano will be getting the victory here. Siege tanks gonna blast apart a lot of these infestors, but the infestor is able to get down a lot of fungal growths and some infested Terrans first, and there is the GG. So Polt losing game 1 in this series to Stephano. A really good back and forth match, a change in the supply lead between these two players close to 15 to 20 times. Stephano getting a little bit over eager, but his stronger economy, his better production was still able to get the better of Polt. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed game 1. Stay tuned for game 2.